Hello, my dear.
How are you?
Love, I'm good. And you?
Good to see you, babe. Long
Good
time.
to see you, babe.
Yeah?
7 months, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So, my dear Gil, yesterday we had a very special experience that I'm very grateful you agreed to.
Mm-hmm.
And I want you to tell me, how was that experience and what did you experience yesterday? Let's start from there.
We had been talking, obviously, although we don't see each other as much as we used to, we still talk about what the other one's doing in their professional life. And you've been telling me about, this practice that you have been partaking in and how powerful it is. And, I have a history of, I kind of know a little bit about psychedelics, obviously, and we had watched some Netflix documentaries about different types that they had used in like Harvard and Yale. So to me, it always made sense that that could be a very powerful type. And so yesterday, I just was fortuitous. I happened to be coming to South Florida. You were already here. And you were obviously here with Kali, who is the one that introduced you to this and you've been doing it with, and trust. And I inherently trust you. And so decided to do a session.
So can you please share the experience, how it was, and what is the difference? You obviously have done before the quantum therapy.
Mm-hmm.
You use that for working with your childhood traumas.
Correct.
And yesterday we were also working on your request. You had a certain goal,
Mm-hmm.
and we were working on that to achieve that. And what, for you, is the difference between those type of therapies?
Like
Psychedelic therapy and quantum therapy. What is the difference between them?
Well, I feel like with quantum therapy, it's a very powerful practice, as you know, but you're still running the conscious mind, right?
Right.
You're still have your defense mechanisms up, your ego's still working, like everyone has that in place to protect them. So I feel like it's powerful. And it can help you to identify certain like patterns or certain moments in time. But also I feel like there's resistance at certain different points because, like the mind will get in the way. Whereas yesterday, the experience was completely different than quantum therapy. I liked the setting. I liked that it was in person. It felt very safe. There was a lot of discussion before, and so it helps you to ease in, get to know the people, and really understand like what's about to happen, how it's all going to play out. And at no point in time, did I ever feel out of control with what was going on. And then, based on the information I gave you about what I wanted to work on, you guys had some very powerful and sometimes difficult questions you asked me to start really the process of getting into identifying some of these patterns that have been reoccurring in my life in different points in time.
What did you like the most in that type of therapy?
I think I liked the fact that I felt like safe, mm-hmm. right? Obviously there's no secrets between us, but also like trusting the people that you're with, understanding that there's a definite goal to be done. And being in that safe space helped me to open up a lot more. And there were times throughout the process that, a question would be asked, and then I would like try to divert a certain way. And then, immediately I would get checked back into, no, like now you're projecting on someone else. Like, what about you? What about you? And I think that's probably the toughest thing for me in any type of therapy that I've ever done. I've done traditional therapy, I've done quantum therapy, I've done hypnosis. And for me, that part becomes very difficult. But usually that's the part where the breakthrough happens, right? That's where you get down to like, what is the key that's gonna unlock the door for everything that you want? What is that, golden ticket per se that's gonna really be the difference that you haven't been able to identify and then, be able to work on in other types. So I think the environment of being safe made it so much easier to when we got to those points to really feel free that I could say anything. And I think I did say just about everything. And there was even things that, like, as you and me and the dynamic that we've had and shared, I probably would have never said that under a normal traditional couples therapy and or whatever, because I would not want to hurt your feelings, or I wouldn't, but last night I felt like it just made me free to let it all out, and it was so liberating. Mm-hmm. Makes sense?
After therapy, do you still have fears that you have before? Like, comparing your feelings before the therapy and now, what do you feel now about it?
I mean, I think as humans, you'll always have some type of fear that maybe pops up, but I think definitely a lot less, right? And even there was something that Callie had said during the session that resonated with me so much that I actually woke up this morning at 3 a.m. and started to journal about it. And it was after we had gone through the process and really identified what it was that I wanted to work on. And I could see that, like, the direct association with another version of myself was what was really the common denominator, the thing that was happening in all those places. He gave an expression, and it was the new Gil, right? And I think a lot of times to be able to associate ourselves, if you want to like remake yourself, you need to have a new association for yourself. And so that new Gil was a freer Gil, was a Gil that didn't have the same fears, was a Gil that felt he could be free and it would be okay and it would be safe, and liberated all the outside thoughts of what I thought maybe people would think about me being the old version of Gil versus the new version of Gil. So that, I think, was like extremely powerful, to the point where I got up at 3 a.m. and I wrote in my journal, I am so happy and grateful now that I am able to be the new version of free Gil, and like quotation marks.
How did you feel during the session that basically your therapist is your ex-wife? Does the method help you to relax?
Well, I think at the beginning I was apprehensive, obviously. But again, I do trust you inherently. So if I didn't, I wouldn't have agreed to the session, right? I think if any of my past relationships, if that person had asked me to do this, 100% I wouldn't have done it. But I know who you are. I know how much work you've put in. I know where you're coming from. So I felt like that helped me, actually, because even with some of the answers I was giving, and I was just watching one of the videos that you were showing me about that, like your expression didn't change, right? Your tonality of hearing some of these responses, there was no change in your actual like facial features. Actually, you were like even more loving. So to me, that was like really a sign that I made the right choice, because there was no judgment at all. It was just unconditional love, which is really what I think, this session helped to bring out even more so.
That was my examination in Tantra course, basically, that I took from my master. And that was the final exam for me to, connect into my own truth, to my true self, to embrace and integrate to the very bottom, the unconditional love, and put that love beyond anything that on the human self level, and just, embrace that method, the psychedelic therapy, and healing people through the pleasure, not through the pain.
Yeah.
How does the man feels when his ex-wife telling him that he can be free and don't take any responsibility?
I think the ultimate test to your passion and your belief in this type of therapy, because if you can tell me that someone that you were with for 4 years and in a relationship with, and we share a child with, then, and I believe that you meant it, like I still do. That means that, you know, they always say actions speak louder than words, but if you're able to tell me that and feel that way, then that means that you've gotten to a point where even above and beyond your own comfort, your first priority is to make sure that Gil lives the best version of Gil. And that requires selflessness beyond what most people, I think, have the capability to do. And only someone who's done a lot of work and has really elevated themselves to a certain level of consciousness through years of practice and dedication can reach a state like that. I feel like very few people on this earth can do that. I don't know if I'll even be able to reach that state, because I know what's required and what would go in to break the ego down to such a point where like your first reaction is unconditional love. And the true definition of unconditional love is love without conditions, even if they affect you.
There is, as you find out, a cost for not being honest to yourself. And this cost is very painful for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about being honest to yourself?
I feel like being honest to yourself is probably one of the most difficult things to do as a human. And I guess to put it in context for everyone that's watching, you know, like we had like a storybook relationship. It started in Egypt. I invited her to the pyramids. Before we met, some guy gave her a book about a guy from Spain going to Egypt to find his treasure. I mean, it was like almost like a Hollywood script. And then we got to live this like lavish life of traveling for 3 months with no kids and this and that. And then as it unfolded, it was the first time that I ever believed in like true love or soulmate, or people call it twin flames or a karmic relationship. Like it was the first time I had been in a relationship where I thought, okay, this is different. And obviously I don't want this to end. And so when you find that, of course, you don't ever want that to end, right? But at some point during the relationship, I felt like I started to not be honest with myself because of, you know, like I was, even though I wanted it and it came with a lot of responsibility and everything like that, like I was starting to lose myself. That free Gil started to go away, you know, and I started to not be able to feel the same way. My friends have all told me like I acted different, you know, like everyone was like, you changed. And so by not being able to be honest with myself, you know, I was sabotaging myself in a way. And then also lying to someone who I had loved more than anyone I had ever loved on the planet. So it's a very difficult thing to do. And then when you add like a relationship like that on top of it, it becomes extremely difficult. But one of the things I learned last night was that like even in lieu of that, like the reason why we don't want to become that free person, or the reason we don't want to become that best version and be truly honest with ourselves, isn't because we don't want it. It's because of what we think and the opinions of what others we think are projected onto us about that. It has taught me a really big lesson. Obviously, it cost me a lot. But I also realized that like when you do get on the other side of that and you are honest and true to yourself, that's when you like, for me, it's when I hit like flow state, you know, and that's when I really just start to feel like I'm the best version of myself and I'm the happiest and I'm like the most energetic and I'm the most, you know, like business comes easier to me. And yeah, so it's obviously always not easy to get to that point, especially when there's other dynamics and it can, you know, cause a lot of pain.
We discuss that because we had so much amazingness in our relationship, it was so difficult and so scary to be truthful, because when you truthful requires a lot of risk, that you potentially can lose what you have, because it's the process of re-choosing your partner in new variation. When the partner says, okay, at this level of our relationship, we need to rediscuss, and this is my truth for now. Are you agreed going further with me on this level of truth? And I think we were not mature enough to, brought that to the table and discuss, like,
100% not.
Look, we changed, and this is not what I want anymore. And what do you think about it? Like, let's discuss and agree. Are we want to move on?
To do this, yeah.
Or we don't want to do that. Or how we can manage to, still be happy. Because obviously we had all of this amazingness, but we need to change something because it doesn't work out anymore.
I would just say that way more powerful to, in the very beginning, address it when it first happens and be truthful than let it build up, because you may be able to actually save something. Because if not, regardless, at some point you're going to reach a point where it's going to break anyway,
Yeah. So whatever you feel, something's going on and you feel like you changing, guys, relationship is not permanent. If you met your twin flame, it doesn't mean okay, the paradise is here. You need to work. You need to be truthful to yourself. And loving each other doesn't mean to stay each other in a relationship. And sometimes it's about separation. And sometimes it's about to let your loving person go and be free. He wants to be free. I want him to be happy. Even I'm the mother of his child. I want him to be the happiest. I don't want him to be stuck with us and suffer. So, yeah, sometimes love, unconditional love, requires decisions that doesn't treat your ego, but treats other people's happiness. That's
a tall order if you have had no type of either traditional therapy, quantum therapy, or if someone doesn't do this. I think one thing that should be stated, I'll just talk to the camera right now, but one thing that should be stated, and one thing I learned a lot from her was that until you start doing the work on yourself, you won't be able to have the breakthroughs, because until you realize that everything falls on you, and that's hard. It's a very difficult concept to grasp. Until you realize that everything that's happening in your outside universe is a result of what's going on the inside, until you work on the inside and you really identify these things, you can't ever be 100% truthful to yourself. And then if that happens, you can't be truthful to your partner. So, even for people that want to do this, it's really, really important to put in the time and effort to really, work on themselves, because she has reached a state that I feel like very few people ever will. I'm not trying to pump her ego or whatever, but it's come through thousands and thousands and thousands of hours of therapy and work. And it takes a certain level of discipline to get to that point to where you can tell your ex in the face, I saw this girl on your phone right now and I'm happy for you. And look at, she's smiling and I don't feel any negativity or believe me, I feel her energy from halfway across the world, even to this day. And I can tell you right now, there's none of that. And I didn't feel any of that last night. So I would just say for those out there, make sure you do the work on yourself first, because it'll amplify then when you do this kind of stuff versus just trying to go in first time. It's going to be very difficult because your ego is going to do that. Yeah, all of that.
Yes. A lot of women, if they will hear the phrase, a free man or irresponsible man, they will freak out. They will run away. Tell me, what does the free man do in his life, in his routine? You were describing free Gil. Does he play video games? Does he lay on the couch? Does he party a lot? Does he hang out with the hookers? What he does?
For me, free Gil is a Gil that's usually traveling. That was always where my freedom lied, was being free to travel and not be stuck in one place, or feel like I'm stuck or have to stay in one place. So for me, I got so accustomed to that over 10 years, 9, 10 years. That was like my version of free Gil. That's where Gil was the happiest. That's where he was in his flow state. That's where, he found his, true joy, because it's such a passion of mine. But
what about his work?
And finally I got to a point where I admitted that, like, as much as I love my company, I needed to do something new. I needed to, like, have another outward expression. So all this stuff that, like, I had learned over the years and taught you some of that stuff, and then even the other stuff that I learned on my own, I finally decided to write a book, and let some of that come through. I felt like my throat chakra was completely closed because I had all this information, and even though it wasn't like nothing to do with travel, it was something that I had been wanting to do for a long time. So Free Gil really started to focus on himself. I lost almost 30 pounds, like 12, 13 kilos, maybe more. Like I said, wrote the book, and now have even started some new business relationships and things that are outside of the scope of what I'm doing. And then, obviously started to travel more and really just do the things that I love and I'm passionate about, that I felt like maybe I wasn't capable of doing before, or I didn't have the freedom to do before. Yeah,
You don't play any video games?
No, I don't play video games. I watch podcasts. I watch YouTube documentaries. I'm reading. I have like 55 ebooks on my phone. Like right now, I'm in a place where I'm just like really trying to become the best version of myself.
We separated and broke up 7 months ago. How do you feel now?
In the beginning, it was tough. Obviously. I mean, we both, I think, went through a really rough patch in the beginning. But now I've been working with other therapists, obviously. I've been doing a lot of work on myself. I had a lot of free time to like really focus on myself. And now, like I was telling you, I think about like 6 or 8 weeks ago, I finally felt like, okay, I can let her go 100% without feeling like, oh, maybe we'll get back together, or maybe in the future. Like, I think a lot of people that break up feel like, okay, maybe in the future if something changes, But my therapist told me, like, if you don't completely let it go, you can't make way for something new, right? You can't focus on the new. And that's not everything that you want, then you need to make way for the new, because the same stuff will come back. So I feel a lot better. I told you guys both, I made a list, very intentional list. Finally, I got the courage up after I felt like I could release you 100%. And it was like 3 weeks ago, and it was great. Like, I'd been doing some dating in between then and now, but nothing like too serious. And then I just recently went on a trip, and I had made this list of like 130 some odd things. And I met someone on the trip that like literally ticked every box, and I was like, wow. Because the last thing I wrote on the book is like, I find her and she comes fast, right? And then like, I think people limit how fast the universe can be if you're not intentional, right? But if you're super intentional, then like all limits are off. But I think it would not have happened had I not like finally let go and released and then make way, because that's how energy works. So, and now I feel great. The fact that I'm here doing an MDMA therapy session with you, and doing this interview, and we have this dynamic, I think is a testament to like how I feel. Like, I love this woman unconditionally. I've loved her since day one. I will always love her. And we were just talking before the interview, like the dynamic has changed, but she's done so much work and I've done a lot of work. And it's very, very comforting to know that you can get to a place with an ex, someone you have a child with, and have this ability to carry on the friendship and the love, even if there is no romantic element. And this may be hard for people that have not found their twin flame love or their soulmate. And believe me, as someone who grew up in LA and Hollywood, I thought all those movies and all that terminology was complete bullshit. But I can tell you that there is a love that transcends everything. And by everything, it's her knowing that I'm out there having other sexual relationships and dating other guys, and me knowing that she's out there doing the same. and still being able to have a cordial relationship where like, you know, even like a week ago or 2 weeks ago before we left, we spent the entire day together with the child, and it wasn't like any sexual like expectations on either side. It was just for the love of the child and for us to, you know, be good co-parents. And so like, I'm gonna get choked up, but I'm really happy I got to this point, because 6-7 months ago, I would say, I didn't think I could do it, but I put in a lot of work. You know, I went to that retreat. I've been working with therapists the entire time, and it's nice to be like this, because you are not someone I would ever want to have ill feelings about, or to hate, or to completely exclude from my life.
I love you.
I fucking love you. You know that.
I know. I love you too.
You're the best.
Thank you.
You're welcome.